And that whilst your purpose
that you've signed up to
changes, your
and we share together
changes from
is
time
to
time.
be your best in all you do.
And greatness can only be measured by the difference between before you showed up and after you showed up. If I look at the number of people whose lives have been transformed by your voice, that's how we measure your greatness.
You know what? We're going to drive on, because one thing I've learned on my journey is when you're filled with something, it's just time to come. So I'm just so excited to be on this platform, Speak for Gold. And I just got something I want to share with you. Are you ready for me to share it with you? Are you ready for me to share it with you? Tell me that you're ready. Tell me that you're ready. I want to hear that you're ready. Calling all sisters, calling all brothers, calling all change leaders to steal away to our secret place. Have a meeting face to face, look at our facts and determine our pace. Calling all women, men, change makers. We want to reach not first, not second, we want to reach third world people. People living outside the power structure. People who feel alienated, isolated, women who are all frustrated, people who sometimes feel like giving up. Women, men, questioning. We don't want to be polarized. We need to be organized. It's time for us to come together. So now is a time for convolution. I want us to search and find solution for how we'll make this revolution die. I want to be connecting. I want to be talking to people who believe that they are change makers. Do we have anybody there? I want you to wave if you are burning with something inside where you know you have potential. You know you were meant to bring something that doesn't quite exist in the world yet. You know you're meant to serve, but maybe you're struggling a little bit with the how. I want you to wave to me. Am I in the right house? Am I in the right house? Fill in the chat. Tell me, am I in the right place? Do you have something burning in you? Has your career been going and maybe you followed all the rules? You checked all the boxes, right? You went to school, got the degree, got a job, but somehow you reached a point where your passion just wasn't lit. Or for some people who didn't have the opportunity for education and they continue to move, but certain things have been drawn to them. People come to them for advice. They look to them for abilities. They look for them for wisdom. They look for them for creativity and openness. And you just find, God, you have put me in a position where I am meant to deliver something. But sometimes I feel constrained. I don't know all the things I'm supposed to do. I don't know how to do them. Am I talking to anybody? Does this connect with anyone on this call? If those are some of the questions that you're dealing with, you are in the right place. And Simi, thank you for that wonderful introduction. We've been having a wonderful time together, and Speak for Gold has just been an awesome experience for me. I was in cohort number 2, and I'm glad to be back, and I've been following. What I would gladly say is, yes, I have over 30 years of work experience. I've worked all over the world and done all kinds of work. I'm a mother of 5 and grandmother of 1. But when I walked into this Speak for Gold, some people said, you have so much experience. Why are you doing? Well, for me, I raised my hand to retire November 2019 because I knew that there was a calling that was coming up. I love corporate real estate and I love solving problems. I love connecting with people, but God kept showing me something else that I was meant to do. And it felt like I was dying, right? It was almost like the death of this corporate experience. Where do I go with this? You know, I had reached a point, I was in the top 15% of people in Shell. Everybody would kind of call it success, but it didn't feel fulfilled for me. I knew that there was something more. So just like that caterpillar sometimes who feels like he's gonna die right before he becomes a butterfly, we all can fly. We just gotta find the right path, right outlet, and build the right tools. Please let me know if I'm talking to the right people. Is any of this connecting with you? Just give me a yes, give me a yes, give me a yes if this is connecting with you. Many of us want a desired life. We have this image or picture, or for some of us, we just know we have a pain, right? We know that we're not where we want to be. So pain pushes us before vision pulls. A lot of times we talk about this linear goal and your reality, clarity, and tools. All of this is awesome and they're wonderful tools, but they don't work for everyone. So we always have to have that ability to play to our strengths and do something a little different. You see how I opened today? You see how I opened? Poetry is in, and I've been an arts and letters person and singing and sharing music all of my life. My life is a musical. That's one of my gifts in the way I express and connect. For so long, we've been told how we're supposed to do things. And I think it's important that first we start a new move where we begin to unlock where our strengths are. So my talk today is turning your strengths into power. Turn your strengths into power. I want you to think about what you envision for yourself as being this tree. And where you are right now is this bird. How many of us, when we face a maze like this, we start going, and then, we run into a wall. Then, wait a minute. Oops, wall. And you stumble. Well, studies have told us if we start from the end and work our way backwards, we have a higher chance of finding our way. It's just statistics and probability. And you know, I'm an engineer, so I'm always looking at the logical, but you can also see I've got this right brain artistic side. Well, what's the deal? For your desired life, if you get very clear on, as clear as you can get on the identity that you seek, then you look at where you are. It's easier to map your path to get there. Path, but you need clarity. And what I want to show you today are some tools. So post this event, I want you to be able to go deeper in bed. I will be giving you an offer, and we'll be growing with your strengths. We want to build on and strategize to live in ease. Everyone's talking about grind, hustle. God meant for us to live in ease. And FB just brings that so clearly that when he even breaks the paradigm on comfort zone. And I don't know if you've picked up on that yet, but when we're in that comfort zone, that's what ease and grace is all about. And when I'm finished with my session today, you're gonna see how all of this ties together and how it's available for you to flow to your goals, not struggle to your goals. So let's live a more joy-filled life. Mojo is just my thing. Mojo 360, it means cultivate more joy in all dimensions of your life. What we're looking for there is, how do we look at our mind, body, soul linked with connection and intention to bring out a higher level of joy in our life? So we're going to empower you to see the potential for what you can be in happiness, well-being, success, and link the science to it, all by playing to your strengths. What I want you to do real quick is just score your mojo. Score your mojo right now. I want you to just look right here. I need a purposeful and meaningful life. What's your number? What's your number? Write it down. My social relationships. So you're gonna need to write it on paper perhaps so we can come up with your average, because you're gonna need to sum it all up and divide it by 8. Just gonna give you a few minutes to do that. My social relationships are supporting and rewarding. I'm gonna take this off screen real quick.
Sorry, Patrenia, we can't see your screen. Are you sharing?
Yeah.
Just to confirm.
Ooh. No problem.
Okay, fantastic.
So I have been sharing. So that's step off, because I wasn't getting feedback, and I said, let's see what's going on.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
We can hear you, though. We're not seeing your slides.
No problem. Are you seeing my slides now?
Yes, we're seeing it now. We can see desired life. Yes,
Okay, so this was the maze, guys. I don't mind replaying. This was the maze. So the tree is that identity that you seek. And all the studies say that behavior change that's based on identity is the change that lasts. How many people have focused on outcome and lost 5 pounds and lost 5 kg, but lost the same 5 kg over and over again? It's because they didn't shift their identity to being a healthy person, right? So when you take on the identity of what you seek and step backwards, it's much easier. And what we'll be doing is filtering through everything that we do. Does that match the identity that we seek? Is that point clear? The desired life? And back here, I think I was showing you some of these. So what I've decided to be in this chapter of my life is an impactpreneur. I'm doing things that bring impact and bring me joy. Okay. I wouldn't say that I'm retired. I would say that I'm in an encore. I'm in an encore stage. All right. So Yebo, I'm feeding off your face. And I need for you to let me know. Are you seeing what's on the screen? Are we seeing? Okay. So this is some of the fun stuff we've been doing. Slumber party for 10,000, right? Over the whole breakdown, we got girls of color together. Lisa Nichols was there, all kinds of, I mean, it was wonderful. My daughter and I did a program, but it's all about impact. How many of you are on this program because you want to make impact? Give me a yes, yes, yes. If you're on here because you feel like there's some impact you're supposed to make that you haven't really queued up and maybe something you're missing, something else that you're looking for. When I look at the Bloom Retreat, that's actually where Simi and I reconnected again, right? That's about making impact. That's about stepping in and stepping out. It's not about fitting in. It's about being okay with standing out. I'm not seeing any of the comments that I'm looking for. Talk to me, talk to me. Am I with the right audience? Am I with?
Yes, you are. The comments are there. The comments are rolling.
I don't know why I can't see them, but I tell you what, I'm sure you'll catch me up, my dear, because I can't see a thing. But that's all right. I'm driving on. So I have spilled my heart to you with calling all sisters and calling all brothers. Are you with me? Because we're going somewhere. I want to make sure we've regrouped. Are we together? Yes. Yebo, you're my buddy. Just give me a head nod. Are we on? Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Thank you. So I took you through the caterpillar. And one thing about transformation, thank you very much. That caterpillar, for me, I was dying a little bit, right? I had lived and worked and, first, done a lot of stuff, right? And then you look at it and you say, whoa, sometimes death must happen before rebirth. And that's the stage I'm in now. So we've gone through desired life. We've gone through, what you're going to get today about living a more joy-filled life is that we're going to be teaching how to turn your strengths into power. And what we'll be bringing out is empowering you with the potential for your happiness, your well-being, and your success. And we're linking science to it. Guess what? For me, I had been, even before I left paid employment with Shell, I had been coaching. I've been training. I've been training since 1996. Can you imagine? With high performance work teams. I've always found that as an engineer, I was able to build building and I could calculate what the capacity, capability increase would be, but getting in between people's ears, what the power is, because I wasn't able to calculate it. Being able to see an impact, it was just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience of growth and catalyst for change and improvements because the brain is elastic. So we'll be learning a lot of the practices I was doing over the shutdown. I learned the science behind it and I see why it's been working. My gratitude jars and gratitude time. So rewiring, I'll be offering a session, never mind this Bloom Africa, but growing with your strengths. That's what I'm going to be offering to the group. So just stay tuned, where you'll be able to rewire your brain, flow to your goals, playing in your strengths. Now, that's how you knew you were supposed to be seeing something. I got you. Here's where I want you to score your mojo. You'll need to write down the answers and just do it quickly because if you think long, you think wrong, right? Number 1, I lead a purposeful and meaningful life. Rated 1 to 7. What's your score? Write it down. My social relationships are supporting and rewarding. 1, I strongly disagree. 7, I strongly agree. Did everyone see the questions? I'm reading just to help because I don't know. Yes. Thank you. Yebo, you are my woman. I feel you. Thank you. All right. So we've got actively contribute to the happiness and well-being of others. I'm competent and capable in activities that are important to me. I'm a good person, I live a good life. I'm optimistic about my future and people respect me. I want you to just write down what is your mojo score. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I want you to just type in what are your scores. So you need to sum up your score and divide it by 8. Divide it by 8. The closer you are to 7, the higher your score is. So add it up and divide it by 8. I'm going to give you one more minute. Come on. Work it through. All right, let's see these scores. What's happening to my chat?
So Patrenia, you want to check on top of your screen, you would see like an orange thing that is blinking. That's the chat.
0.67, okay, 52 divided by 7, 6.5. All right. Okay. So what you want to do is total. I love it. Okay, yes, we are. She is lit. Now I'm getting it. A rewatch, a must. Yes. My people, change maker. It's sitting in us, right? We're seeking something. And with the speak for gold. You will be producing gold, and you're wondering, people will say, you'll have this gold kind of lit on you after the session. And people will say, what is that about? And it's very difficult to explain sometimes. So just keep flowing. All right, what kind of scores are we getting? What this score is telling you about, I'm gonna unload it for you. Mojo is really a measure of how much joy is in our life. And it's not just about, a lot of people say walk around being happy all the time. No, it's not about an artificial emotion. It's about linking your mind, body, and soul in a way that you truly understand yourself. You're confident in who you are and how your gifts show up unashamedly, but you also connect in your relationships. You're offering love and receiving love. You're being open. You have boundaries, but it's healthy. And guess what? You're reaching intention. You're getting things done. It's about getting things done. So at the end of the day, you do all this effort to make sure you're okay so that you can be a high performance deliverer. Does anybody want to be a high performance deliverer? Give me a yes. You want to be a high performance deliverer, because that's what this is all about. We want to shift. Where do we want to shift from? So many of us have been doing it the hard way. I like to use the example of, how many of you have seen that goal post from Denzel Washington where he does the commencement speech, right? And he talks about at the beginning of his career, he was going for these auditions. Give me a head nod if you know what I'm talking about. He was going for these auditions. And so let me lead with this. How many people disagree that Denzel Washington is like the ultimate in terms of an actor? That he's something that most of us aspire to. When we think about acting, he is the person that comes to mind. Can you imagine that we almost didn't know his greatness? We almost did not get to enjoy his beauty on this earth? Because every audition he was going to, he was singing. He would sing in the audition, not get the job. Go to another, sing, not get the job. Sing, not get the job. Then he was wondering what's going on. Then when he realized that he was playing to his weakness, not to his strength, that's when his life unlocked. When he realized that oratory and communicating with words was his power, that's what he walked into. He took his strength and moved it to power. And just imagine how many of us are playing in a space of our weaknesses or not so much of our strength. And we try to do it like other people, with copy and pasting. So we ended up with artificial results of what we could be. Write that one down. Artificial results of what we could be. We're not releasing that full potential. Who wants to die with a whole bunch of potential? I recently went through the loss of my dad. I was there when he transitioned at age 91. and standing there and touching his body in that warmth as he transitioned. I had such peace. I had such peace. Because Daddy died empty, completely empty. We had a Thanksgiving service for him. He was 91. COVID came in August. Daddy was cured of COVID. We had a Thanksgiving service, and his church members from 40, 50 years ago, Daddy had been a pastor for 70 years. Church members came, "You'll always be my pastor." He taught me about financial management. He married me, and the point is, I did not know all these gifts that my father had been dropping. So, but when this transition came, it was such a peace because Daddy had left it on earth. How many of us are full of potential because we're leading with our strength, leading with our weaknesses? Is there anybody that can relate to that? That you're trying to do it like other people, but somehow it's not just hitting the spot for you. That might be why your score is way lower than 7, okay? Yeah, talk to me. Yes, yeah, God rest his soul. Yes, you can relate. Thank you, QJ, I'm feeling you. I can relate. And for me, it used to be this thing, when I graduated from school, and when high school, it's like you're good in math and science, you should go into engineering. But I went into college and I co-founded a theater company. Imagine. So the confusion was, wait a minute, I'm living with these different gifts. How do I make them play out? So I'll tell you some stories about my life as we go. But here's the science, and I'll just give you some of the words. And you can have this class if you want to see it. At the end of the day, what we're all seeking is in well-being and fulfillment is summed up in karma. And I put it into my mojo language in just a minute. But positive emotions is about feeling good. Feeling good, choosing the most empowering way to interpret a situation is how we get to positive. Like, a lot of people let circumstances control them. They're more of a thermometer than a thermostat. So in the space, you have circumstances. The thoughts that you choose about that circumstance are really up to you, right? If it's raining outside, we can choose, oh my God, it's going to be a horrible day. Then what does that do? That trickles into how you feel, that trickles into actions you take, and it trickles into the results that you bring into the world that then cycle back up to make your circumstances even worse. But what if you realize I have the capability to choose a more empowering thought? I look at the rain and I say, while I'm very thankful, this means that my garden is going to get to grow. It's going to get nourishing, right? It's still a truth, but it's a more empowering truth and it's a more positive truth. You're also saying maybe I get some time to stay inside and do some reading or snuggle up or whatever, but positive emotions are a choice is the thing. The second thing is around engagement. This is around finding flow, and that's what Mojo Flow is all about. Engagement, how you connect with people and connect with things. It's important to find activities that require your full engagement, something that you can really focus on. And we talk about mindfulness, we talk about savor. It's about when you eat, don't look at TV, be in that moment of really engaging and savoring. And what is that experience? One thing I want to challenge you to do in your next meal, I want you to focus completely and try to, figure out what are all the seasonings and how all the ingredients come together. The simple things bring such joy if we choose to look deeply at life. The next one is relationships and authentic connections. All of us know, even newborns, right? The babies that are held, that have been premature, though they have healthier connections and abilities as they grow older than those who are just in the incubator with no human touch. We need human touch. And even with the environment that we're in now, we have to find ways to bring that connection, bring the connection. Next one is meaning, purposeful existence. I always say that reasons reap results. Reasons reap results. We're beginning of the year. So many people have come up with goals and what I'm going to do and all our resolutions, we dare say. But the reason why most of these don't stick is because they're not linked with a purpose, they're not linked with an identity. So while your pain is pushing you on the problem, the push doesn't last for very long. It's not much momentum. You have to have the purpose and the vision that pulls you to where you need to be. It's like that rubber band, you're needing the tension. So meaning and purposeful existence is so key to how you show up. And most of you are here because you have some meaning you want to express. Give me a yes if you can connect with, you know you're carrying some meaning, you know you have a purpose. And at the end of the day, you want to translate that into something that has impact, achievement, a sense of accomplishment, right? So the way that it's showing up in your life is that you want to be able to, how many of you are tired of doing things that don't have much impact? You put all this effort and then it doesn't show up in the way you want it to show up. The impact, amplification. So here, I'm going to show you how this all works. Positive psychology. I told you I'll give you a little science and then we're going to get into the fun, but we have to dig into our research just a little bit. So Martin Seligman did something in the early 2000s. You know how when we think about psychology, we think more about the negatives, right? Where people have psychosis or you name it, all of the illnesses. And the way that works is 0 in the center, and then it's -1, -2, -3. -3 would be, multiple personality, schizophrenia. So that was all focused on the negative side of psychology. And what they were always doing was trying to correct what has already happened. So what happened in 2000, they said, wait a minute, what if we make 0, but go positive, +1, +2, +3? How can we focus on positive psychology? How can we focus on having people proactively in a space where they never get to the negative side? What are the things that we can do? And so much of this study really boiled down to qualities and their virtues. They've come up with we have 24 virtues that are 24 character strengths that are organized into virtues. And those virtues really, if you want to talk about it, are the strengths are the road that you can use to access those virtues. And at the core of who you are, regardless of, you can always learn new abilities and skills on top of it, but at the core, that's how we know who we are. And how do we know that we're operating in those strengths? We know we're operating in those strengths when they're essential, they're energetic, and they're pretty easy for us. How many of you have been told, and I want you to just say yes, have you been told that you are great at things that you think other people should be able to do very easily, that you should, do very, very easily? And you're like, oh, that was nothing, but people compliment you on it. Let me know if people have been complimenting you on things that you just kind of saw as, that was nothing. I love this core identity. Yes, 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 true, true, true. That is a clue to your strengths. All right, I'm going to take you through a couple of these now. So why knowing your character strengths is vital to finding happiness. Again, more research. I took this science of happiness class and it was like, oh, light bulb. It explains all these things I've been experiencing. I was experiencing in the concrete and my intuition told me it was the right thing. So I kept teaching and kept growing it. And then over the shutdown, when I had so much more time, right? I started finding the science behind it. So in 2016, they figured out if you use your strengths at work, your productivity goes up, your job satisfaction is mediated by positive emotions. Well, I'm one of those people that every job that I went into, I reinvented it. I did it a different way from other people, right? And I made it my own. And I would be working in a way that didn't feel like it was work. You ever gotten in there and you're going and maybe you worked all night or people like, wow, look what you did, but it didn't feel like work. That's why knowing your character strengths is so key. We're seeking a state of flow. So a top line for us that when we're actively involved, trying to reach our goal, an activity is challenging but well suited to our skills. We experience a joyful state. It just feels great. Experience of flow is professional and leisurely. It shows up in different ways. So Simi knows that I love to sing and just about everything. I'm not the best singer. I'm not claiming that. But my soul just comes alive. Any situation that comes up, I can feel the music and it connects with people. I found that that's something that's unique about me. So in our flow, that mental state, some call it the zone. And a lot of times what people, they do on the weekend, they cruise, sit back, they just want to look at TV but on Monday somehow they don't feel rejuvenated. That's because relaxation and flow are not the same. You need something that's using your strengths, but also challenging you. So this is what I love. The greatest hazard of all is losing oneself. It can occur very quietly in the world as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, like an arm or leg or $5 or wife, will surely be noticed. How many of us have been disappearing acts? Give me a yes if people have been telling you you're too loud, you're too expressive, or we don't do it like that here, or you got to follow our rules, right? How many people have been losing who they are to try to fit in and didn't really understand that they were meant to stand out, but they needed to stand out in a way that was productive and impactful? How many of us have been losing ourselves and we're sick and tired of it? It's just like a wave of something happening. And it's not just women, but definitely women are showing up in a different way right now. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. If now's not the right time for change, when are we going to get around to it, right? It's time to find ourselves and turn our strengths into power. Become the heroes and the superheroes we're meant to be. Yes, yes, yes. Can I get a yes, yes? I told you Lisa Nichols is one of my people now. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. I love it. Yes to the loud part of overbearing. Yes, 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 yes. I feel you. You know, I have found my tribe. I'm with my people. Because you know what? Some of the big ideas, I gave you Denzel, and I just wanted big ideas, you know. I'm not in form or fashion right now. I just want to download. So many of us find ourselves stuck in certain areas that we need results in. We're stuck. I eventually found myself in a job in Shell where I'm a person that needed to connect with people. I was putting together deals. Deals were fine once you got to the table, you were negotiating and connecting with people. But it's a lot of research to get everything together. And it was like my light was under the table. It was like this little light of mine, I wasn't getting to let it shine. And it was like smothering me. And I was like, okay, I'm performing, I'm being paid well, shut up, shut up, shut up. You should be happy. Well, I had some very interesting things happen to me. In 2018 or so, I went to speak at a real estate conference and I ran into some people who I had trained 13 years prior when I was at Phillips Consulting, and they ran over to me and said, Patrenia, you taught me presentation skills. This woman is now running IFC in Washington, D.C. She just happened to come back to speak at the conference as well. She said, you taught me presentation skills and I've never forgotten it. And she started telling me what I taught her 13 years prior. At the same conference, I was sitting down on a row, and Miniso was talking about how they're coming into the country, and you know, it's a real estate angle to that. And a lady leaned up. She's a business development for Miniso. She's leading it. She said, Patrenia, is that you? And I was like, yes. And she said, you came to my University of Ibadan and spoke to us in the early 2000s and took us back to your house. We had a wonderful time. I never forgot the things that you taught us. Now I said, okay, Lord, I've been asking for signs. I've been asking for signs. Are you dropping them? Am I being open enough to hear them? I want to hear yes, yes, if anybody is listening for the intuition, listening for your gut reactions. So many of us spend time in praying and this, you know, I'm spiritual, I'm going spiritual. So many times we spend time praying, request, talking to God. How many of us are finding the quiet to actually see? In a retreat we were in recently, we talked about the power of recognition. Once you've been putting things out, your vibration, when the answers come, are we open to seeing them? So I realized that God was dropping bombs for me right there. How in the world someone 13 years prior? And then, you know, all my pre-Shell stuff, and even in my Shell stuff, I have, you know, women talk to me about what I was doing with Shell Women's Network. And I was doing those things to keep my sanity because I was still needing to connect with people. Isn't it amazing how your gifts will make space for you? Are your gifts making space for you? Do you want your gifts to make space for you? So guess what? In those places that we're stuck and we're wanting results, we need to realize that creativity is a key executive skill. If you look at HBR, Forbes is showing up everywhere. And how do we get to creativity? We get to creativity through flow. Do you know that when we're in a flow state, which means we're using 3 to 5 of our strengths in a challenging and something that uses our skills, that our capability to process is 4 times, that we're firing our synapses at 4 times the rate? So guess what happens? Flow enables creativity. When you're in creativity, your intellectual capacities show up. We have 6 superpowers. I'll be offering that video where you can take a look and learn how to use your superpowers to begin to bring out this strength and power and bring the results. But our intellectual capacities really expand when we're in flow state. So the ability to match your strengths to achieve flow, it's about crafting a job. Many of us can't leave our jobs, but how can you make it more of something that speaks to your spirit and plays to your strengths? The other side of this is, how are you spending your time? We have some tools with Baseline, 15-Minute Miracle. How do you get your results onto your calendar? Some people have their goals on the wall, but no evidence of it on their calendar. How do you make that bridge and bring the results into your life? So results, flow maximizing, how does it feel? Doing what you say with Atomic Habits. So these are the big ideas that really got me to sit down and say, hey, I need to make my own framework because I need something that speaks to me and my child. So I did. It's called the Mojo 360 framework, and it's asking, what type of achiever are you? Okay. What type of achiever are you? Tell me, what kind of achiever are you? And we're going to be looking at your scores in shortly. Now, on the vertical axis, how many people say that knowledge is power? How many people believe that knowledge is power? Give me a yes and give me a no. Give me a yes if you agree that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, no, no, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. Well, guess what? If knowledge was power, why is it that so many of us have read books, we've gone to courses, we've gone to programs, but the results in our lives have not changed? The circumstances of our lives have not changed. It's only when you take knowledge and multiply it with action do you really get power. And I told you I'm an engineer now, so you've got torque, right? How do you, even when you're riding a 10-speed bike, when the chain goes to the bigger gear, that's when you get more torque and more power. That's how you get to power. You need to take the knowledge of yourself, take knowledge of your strengths, take knowledge of your intellectual capacities and put them into action. That's how you get power. So up on the top of the axis is plus and is high, and low is low, power. Does that make sense? Hope you're with me. Around the horizontal, we call it productivity. And there's a whole lot along that horizontal because I teach in all of those areas. But what we're looking for across productivity is going to be, do you know your purpose? Have you uncovered it? Is it clear to you why you're here and what you're meant to bring out? Knowing that purpose changes in seasons. Simi shared with you, my purpose is to improve the human condition. Well, at certain points in my life, that was running a Black History Quiz Bowl. For 10 years, I ran a Black History Quiz Bowl on a volunteer basis. Can you imagine? Well, having my first 3 kids, we have a total of 5. Having my first 3 kids, I went through this program because it was hard work. I knew how important Black history was for me to establish my identity in the 4th grade when I found books with people that looked like me, and I knew that it was more than just what I saw in the United States that spoke to me. So that was one expression of improving the human condition, right? Improving the human condition when I was building high performance teams at Harley Davidson, building motorcycles, that was another expression, right? When I came to Nigeria, that was another expression. So don't feel limited in your purpose in saying that it's only one thing. Seasons, my dear, and I'm going to show you some cycles in just a minute. Trust me, we're getting there. Now, on productivity axis along the bottom, can anybody feel comfortable in their purpose? Give me a yes if you know your purpose. So some people know their purpose and that's very clear to them, but they don't know how to focus on it. They don't know how to focus and go deep. They're busy going, why, trying to be like everybody else, but instead, so my daughter taught me something. I have a 30-year-old daughter who's like on track, senior executive, but she is a biomedical engineer and excellence is her thing. She said, Mom, you got your engineering degree, you do all this service stuff, you're an MBA, you worked in all these fields. Your T is wide. You have depth in a couple things, but it's mostly wide. I said, you're right, baby, because I'm bored easily. And remember my story, math and science, but I was really loving arts and letters, right? So I'm going to be wide, and that's a good space for me. She said, no, Mom, I want my T to be narrow. I want to be super deep. When they look around the table, I want to be the one in the room that can answer the question that nobody else can answer. So this is a season for depth, my dear. This is the season for not being shallow and doing what everybody else can do. Be that depth. So in order to bring your purpose into reality and bring those results, you've got to focus. That means you've got to know how to break things into practices. You've got to be able to get it onto your calendar. Results over time is productivity. And on the left is low and on the right is high. Is that clear? Give me a yes, yes if you follow me. All right, so I'm a 2-2. I'm a 2x2. I like to put things in 2x2 because, you know, it's easy to confuse people when you don't really even know what you're talking about. My job is to take the complex and make it simple. So we're going to just put it into squares and say that when my productivity is low and when my power is low, what quadrant am I in? I'm a fish. What did we talk about? Evaluating the capabilities of a fish by how it climbs a tree. Well, that's another subject. That's a mismatch. But the fish is floundering around. You may have gotten to a point and you've done real well in your career. But what you've realized is what got you here won't get you there. So a fish just may be in this season of your life, you're floundering, you're not really sure, you're not strong in what your knowledge of yourself is and how to put it into action and that power. And you don't know your purpose and your focus, and you're definitely not doing anything about it. So you're sitting in this place where you're floundering. Let me know if we got any fishes in here. You know you're supposed to be doing something, but you just don't know how to do it and you just keep on floundering. That's the fish. You're out of water, but it's not quite working for you. I want to take you to this elevator. Right above is something called the finesse. Finesse, I love you. You know when we finesse, we got it looking good. Everybody can see. We know ourselves and we can take action. You might be the spokesperson. You're very clear on what your strengths are. You can move in that space and deliver in that space and people see you. But guess what? You're not getting much done because you start. You hit a plateau and you quit. You start something new. You hit a plateau and you quit. Now, every time we take massive action, are we going to hit plateaus? Give me a yes if you hit plateaus before. If you've hit plateaus before when you're taking massive action, some obstacle you didn't imagine, some barrier, some challenge, oh, the scenario isn't what you might. You know, we do these project plans and then life happens, right? It's not that you hit the plateau. It's what you do when you hit the plateau that makes a difference in your outcome. So what a finesser does is he dabbles and he follows the new shiny thing. You might be the one that every time some new program comes, you click, and then all your mailbox is coming and it's full of all these new things that you're trying and you can't even keep focused because stuff is everywhere and you're not really clear. Are there any finessers in the house? Any finessers? You start and don't finish. You start and do not finish, but you look good. You look good, and you know what you're good at. You know what you're good at, but you haven't quite moved to the space of being confident in how to move in that power and show up in that power and bring results and impact. Now, I want to draw your attention to the right side. Because in power questions, this is what you need to be asking. How well do I use my strengths? Is it effortless? What energizes me? How happy and connected, fulfilled am I? Productivity questions. How well do I know how to bring purposeful results? Master my habits. Mastering your habits is self-regulation and understanding my habits. You know, consistency compounds. Write that down. Consistency compounds. And here is the math again. A 1% change every day in the positive direction brings what? 370% improvement by the end of the year. Because it's 365 days in a year. Imagine that. So small things matter. So deal with focus and overcome mental fog. So these are all the things I teach along the different axes. We teach and coach through this so that you can move. You want to move. So we want to find out where you are now so you can shift. So are you down with the fighter? Let me tell you about the fighter. The fighter is the one who is struggling with some limited beliefs, okay? And he's fighting to keep the limiting beliefs. And you know, if you fight for the limiting beliefs, you do get to keep them. A limiting belief might be that I am always an employee, never an entrepreneur. I am always, I come up short. I can't do it in the clutch. I used to say that about myself when it came to lead singing, because I'm very comfortable with being a background singer. But I had to experiment. I had to be willing to fail in order to grow and evolve, just like the caterpillar and the butterfly. Be willing to die. Be willing to fail miserably, because otherwise you hold something back. When you hold something back, you're never freely moving toward the thing. So what is a fighter? The fighter is gonna be that grinder, that hustler. Everything feels hard because everybody feels like everybody's fighting against them. But guess what? They're doing what Denzel was doing. They're singing in the interview. They're singing in the audition when their strength is oratory. They don't know their power, therefore they can't use their power. So they're stuck. They're fighting, they're grinding. Can anybody relate with that? You feel like you're efficient, you're busy. You know, the fighter shows up as busy. They're fighting, trying to push their way. But guess what? Up here in high, things are very clear, very clear. Up here at Flow Master, that's where we want to be. We want to be in flow where we're using 3 to 5 of our strengths and we're working on things that matter, right? We got our focus, we got our purpose, we got our breaking it down to what are practices that link with the identity that we're choosing, not just outcomes, but identity. Shifts come through when we begin to see ourselves as something different. You begin to see yourself. I call myself an impactpreneur, and I'm looking every day and I'm filtering everything that I do through that identity. Do you remember we used to have those badges, what would Jesus do? Remember that, what would Jesus do? And it was always a reminder of, am I acting godly? Or what would Allah do? What would Allah do? Am I acting in a way that would give evidence? So if somebody were to testify and needed to give evidence that I was who I said I was, would I hold up? Will there be evidence to show who I was? So that's why identity is so important, because it's a much stronger standard than losing weight, right? Because we can always fluctuate. But identity, once you stick on it, that's what that tree is. You're moving toward it. That becomes your filter. And I just want you to take a few minutes. Tell me, where are you on that achievers? Because you're in this program. I know that you already achieved. All right, we got Flow Master. And the nice thing about Flow Master is that we got 7 levels of Flow Master. You want to be in Flow Master space. That's where we're trying to go. We're going to get you in Flow Master. We need to be Flow Masters. Flow Masters even have stages where we're going to be going even deeper. I am being blessed with this, but Sally needs to join the office meeting. Oh, women, hopefully you can see it. You can see it on the replay. Let me see. Do you know? Let me stay focused. One of the things I want you to be able to see is many of us are the elephant. In the beginning of our lives, we realized that we weren't strong enough. So inside our minds, we realized we weren't strong enough to move the stake. So we stood there. What has changed on this side? The elephant is fully grown, but somehow it's still tied to the stake. This is called learned helplessness. He doesn't even try anymore to pull it because he's accepted that that is his state. Even though the facts of the situation have changed, his beliefs have not. So we want to take you through the process of unlimiting your beliefs. Because guess what? Because you have this vision and burn for you, you're all the way over here and where you want to be. And this stake is holding you back. You're strong enough to pull it, but you don't pull the trigger. Let's get unleashed. Let's talk about unleashing the elephant. Now, I'm going to invite you to do an exercise. And I am being authentic and sharing all kinds of stuff here. Here's what I want to invite you to do. Draw a line across the middle horizontal on your piece of paper. This exercise is called retracing your steps. And you know, I've done a lot with customers, so I want you to think about when you go to the bathroom and you have that little smiley face on top, it's happy, happy, happy. Everything on top has been positive things that have happened, okay, in your life. Down on the bottom, the red face, this frowning, these are the bad things, some of the unfortunate things that happen in your life. I want to just give you a few minutes. Write out some of the milestones. You can put it in years. What I want to take you through is in retracing your steps of life. For me, my parents were in a car accident the year before I was born, and they were planning my mother's funeral. She'd broken her neck. I was a surprise baby. No one expected me. Somehow my mother got up from that bed. She didn't remember my brother and sister anymore. She had to relearn how to walk. Somehow the next year I was born. So for me, the car accident was below the line. Because both my parents went ahead on collision. And in fact, this was 65, I guess. My father had been told he had a valve in his heart that wouldn't close, and he had 6 months to live. Imagine that. That was in his 20s, and he lived to be 91. Wow. So when the steering wheel collapsed in his chest, destiny was too strong. So that car accident didn't hold my parents back. They had this third unexpected baby. So that was an exciting and happy thing. My mother forced me to take the test to get in the gifted and talented program. How many of us were the people in the class that were enjoying the learning and raising our hands and all excited to be there, and other people were looking at us like, why are you making us look bad? But that was a fire for me. My mother helped to put me into the environment where I could thrive, where it was cool to know things and want to know things. How many of us are so curious about things and we've been discouraged? How many of you have been told you're too nosy? Why you ask all these questions? Why you want to know so much? So for me, this was a high. And I need you to just let me know when I have 30 minutes left, okay? Just give me a hint on the time. Now, gifted and talented program then was a high for me. My mother happened to die when I was 13, 1980, right? I lost her. Then, what did I say? Okay. Then for me, I was a wayward high school student living a double life. My mother was a teacher and my daddy was a preacher. So, you have to make it look good on Sunday, but I fell into a dip. But look at this. The high was I stepped out of it. I call it my pre-college stepped out of shit, pardon my profanity. Well, for me, I had to actively figure out these people weren't going where I needed to go. By the time I got to university, no alcohol, no drugs, no whatever fazed me. I was completely focused, right? All right, so I didn't get a job. I was on an acting role in 1996. That was a dip. What I want you to do is be writing your ups and downs, writing your ups and downs. And you can complete this after the program, but it's a very reflective exercise. I'm going to give you some questions to answer for yourself. And even for me, I have something after death. For me, I want a legacy of love and education. And all the mothering, I never thought I would be a mother. If back here, all I wanted to do was be career oriented. And somehow God blessed me with 5 babies. Look at this. I drew the lines to connect the dots. And look at the pattern that emerged. Ups and downs of life. If any of us are sitting in a low and we think that there's nowhere to go, know that you will be showing, you will be rising again. Know that even if it feels like you're in the low, you're frowning and downing, know that that's how things go. It's a season. So here are the things I want you to ask yourself when you're doing this exercise. I want you to ask yourself, how did your strengths show up here to help you to get the best out of these positive experiences? How do those strengths show up to help you to be in a place of positive outcome? And how do they show up to help you to leverage them? I want you to look down here to say, and I'm going to be encouraging you to take the assessment. So you'll be able to link and I'll share with you and you can get this report. But in what ways are your bottom 3 strengths that you underutilize? How are they blockers to you? What patterns do you see in the lows of your life? What patterns emerge? What can you learn from them? What might happen if you were to activate some of your strengths in a different way? I know I'm getting ahead of the teaching, but I want to create a gap in your mind to say that if you retrace the steps of your life, your strengths show up. So let's see how to best use them. So life is a series of peaks and troughs. And you don't know whether you're in a trough until you're climbing out of it. So if you want the rainbow, you got to put it with the rain. I love some of these. Everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of human freedoms is to choose one's attitude to given set of circumstances. I love Viktor Frankl because he was in a concentration camp and he chose to be hopeful. He chose. So ultimately, man should not ask what's the meaning of his life, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked in a word, which means is questioned by life. Your life is questioning you. You need to answer with your life. What are you responsible for? For the meaning of life differs, right? For what then matters is to bear witness to your uniqueness. Be okay with your uniqueness. Hashtag unique. Unique me. Unique me. Unique me. Unique me. I'm okay with being unique. I understand that I may need to stand out, but let me stand out in an impactful way. So at the end of the day, we've got the unlimiting. We've got this that's repeating. All right, so this is the recap. got the recap. All right, did I have any fishes, full masters? All right, so VIA survey versus strength finder. So many of us have been through different types of inventories. And the key thing is, if you've done strength finders, this is more talent oriented. You know, work, key questions are around what's best about what you do at work. What I'm focusing on is the whole self, those universal paths to virtues. These virtues show up in all kind of classics. And in order to come up with this, they looked at all these different religions. They looked at, you know, all kinds of writings, and these are virtues that show up in different cultures. So it's not just American, it's not just African, it's not just this. They show up everywhere. So what is best about who you are? That's the key. And this is core character. So it's not just situational. It just keeps on showing up. It's so natural. It's just like your aroma. It's your smell, right? Historical analysis, strengths meet a criteria, signature strengths, but all 24 matter. Remember we talked about the top ones, your strengths that show up on above the line. But those bottom three may have, they're not activated. What are you doing to activate them, and how do they work together? So those are some of the things that I teach in my course. So boosted happiness, increased engagement, stronger relationships. When you're bringing in your strengths, and let's say your strengths, let me just show you what the strengths are. So they're organized this way: wisdom, courage, humanity, justice, temperance. All of these are virtues. And I'll just share with you the wisdom is a virtue, if you want to call it virtue cluster. And there are 5 roots to displaying its necessary antecedent, which is knowledge. And the strengths are really clustered. The least developed and most basic one is curiosity, and the most mature one is perspective. So perspective is that wisdom, that providing wise counsel, taking the big picture view. And let me just ask a couple questions because I want you to try to clue in. Curiosity, as we said, is the lowest level, but being able to ask questions, showing interest and novelty. One of the things I want you to just clue into, curiosity about the world entails openness to experience and flexibility about matters that do not fit one's preconceptions. Curious people do not simply tolerate ambiguity, they like it and are intrigued by it. So the statement, I am always curious about the world, is very much like me or not like me. Just think about it that way. I am easily bored. Very much like me, you would score 1, right? So it's not people who just sit in front of the TV with a remote and passively. No, curiosity is about where you actively, when you go on holidays, you're the one that goes to the museum. Can I see anyone who might have a curiosity strength that they use? Unique me, resilience and ability to bounce back. I love it. I love it. You guys, you get this now. You get this. Okay. So what I want you to take away from this is like the love of learning. You love learning new things. That's the description. So it's funny, my father was a postal carrier and he could see you from 20 years ago and he could tell you what your address was. So he had a love of learning. It wasn't just in the context of his job, he connected it to people, and that's how he made a difference. When, you know, I told you we had Thanksgiving. In fact, I introduced Americans to the African practice of a Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not just the 4th Thursday in November. It's when something positive happened. To see my 91-year-old father walk out of the hospital after, you know, no more COVID symptoms. His issue later was more about dementia. When you're 91, many things show up. But what's the point? He brought joy in other people's lives, even from his Thanksgiving, because he connected with people. The people on the call would say, Reverend Worst was my letter carrier, and he would stop and visit me along the way. So what are some of those strengths that my father showed up? Creativity, curiosity, just as because guess what? I give a license to other people to show their own quirkiness. That's part of the energy we need to bring. Are we making people feel like they're stuck in something, or we're opening them up? So these are some of the clusters that I just want you to realize. So when you're laying in courage, let me see if I can bring out. Courage includes bravery, perseverance, honesty, and zest, right? So when you're in this virtue, the way that you show up is it's not that you're fearless, but it's that you show up anyway. So just like justice, these show up in civic activities. They go beyond one-on-one relationships. They are how you relate to larger groups such as your family, your community, your nation. So of course, you're going to show up in fairness and citizenship, leadership, teamwork. Does this resonate with anyone? Does anyone believe that their calling and their virtue strength is in justice? I told you mine were in wisdom, humanity, and transcendence. Can you see how that might be playing out for me just in this short engagement with me? That for me, the gratitude. I do gratitude jars. I listen to thank you, Lord, for being there for me every morning. Fred Hammond. So appreciation of beauty and beauty and excellence. In my year of Renaissance, you're gonna find me with art. You're gonna find me with music. So that spirituality, really hearing intuition. I thought for me that I wouldn't be able to change because I've been socialized probably more masculine. When my mother died, it was just me and my dad at home. So for 5 or 6 years, I was just, raised by a man. So I tend to socialize, and then when I went to work for Harley Davidson, I was wearing steel toes and t-shirts and safety glasses, and I did not listen to my intuition. Well, it was in my first 5 months in Nigeria. I don't know if I can relate. It was a comedy show. It was kind of stressful. I just come back from the States, had passports, had all kinds of stuff in my purse because I hadn't unloaded, even a brand new Palm Pilot. So I'm dating myself, right? I was crossing the street coming out of Busan. It was a comedy show, crossing the street, and all the people were coming at me, begging for money or whatever. And I was just trying to get across the street, and something told me, get on the inside, get over to the curb. But in my rational mind, I said, I'm at the car. I'm just one car length away from the car. So my rational mind said, no, I'm just going to stay in the street and walk to the next car instead of getting on the curb. And in the moment that my rational mind overrode my intuition, and a car came and took my purse right off my arm. Was that a lesson for me? Was that a lesson? How many people had to have some wake-up calls to listen to their intuition? They had to have some wake-up calls to really know that God was talking to them. That, science is telling us that, guess what? We've got a first brain and our gut is a second brain. Our gut is the second brain. And the neurotransmitters that produced our brain are also in the gut. So understand there's science behind why you feel things. So, even for me through the pandemic, when I would feel people, I call them. But, are they sick? Do they need me? I call and I connect. I trust it. When things come now, that purse getting snatched off my shoulder was a wake-up call. Because guess what? That was the most expensive purse I ever bought. I came to Nigeria and it was like, you're my dime. You should buy this Italian leather. So those things don't matter that much to me. But I did it trying to fit in. Yes, I did it. It pulled that thing right off my shoulder. And guess what? I had to go to the police department and walk through water up to my thighs to file a report for something I knew I would never get back. So all of that was God taking me down and saying, see, listen, listen. Trust me when I'm talking to you. So that was my experience that helped me grow in my spirituality and understand that I did have that power. I just needed to be more quiet and listen and pay attention and have the courage to act when intuition spoke. Am I speaking to anyone? Is there anybody who's been feeling things and they just don't trust it because it doesn't fit in with what everybody else is doing? The way you want to process things is just like, people just don't get you, Somebody's going to get you. You're meant to serve. You're meant to serve. What I love about Speak for Goals, you're going to go through the exercises. I don't want to blow the bottom line. They're going to take you through some things that will allow you to do that discovery. I'm going to invite you to talk to me because get this. Boom. Boom. All right. You can tell this is me, right? You see me? Do you see me? Tell me if you see me. So that's me with the python around my neck. I'm holding the head of the python. Has anybody done that before? Sometimes I have to do crazy things sometimes just to remind myself I am still alive and that I still can learn new things. I can still dare new things. How many of you need to dare that you can learn and do something more and be something more and go to a higher level? When we start moving to these levels, it's going to be very much like this guy looking over my shoulder. People usually focus on what I'm doing and how I'm looking, like, yeah, I am deeper, I got it now, I am fine. But look at his face. He's looking at me like people will be looking at you. Why in the world would you want to step out of what people already assume is successful? Step out of comfort zone, step out of that mode, right? It's because you're being pulled by something. So for me, I took that snake by the head. I am daring. And I had trust and I had faith. Let me tell you how I distinguished myself when I played into my character strength. My number one character strength is the love of learning, number one. Gratitude is up there and you know, kindness and just really about linking with people. It shows up, right? Now, at Harley-Davidson, I was the first Black female engineer in our location, but the good news about that is that I wasn't the last. So we were challenged to double production over 5 years, and we were actually able to do it in 3. This is how we did it. What they didn't tell me is that I replaced 2 white guys they had fired. And so line balancing, we had 72 different models rolling down a 200 lineal foot assembly line. Lots of complexity. That's the thing to take away from it. And we measure work down to 1/27th of a second. And it takes over 2 hours to assemble a bike online. So just do the math. Lots and lots and lots of detail. If things get out of sequence, you'll be riding riding your motorcycle and stuff will fall off. So it's very, very critical because it's life. If our vehicles aren't quality, they'll fall apart and kill people. And no one wants that. So a lot of pressure on my job. Every minute of downtime, we were losing $10,000 an hour. So it was very clear to me this job mattered. Well, I looked at the work of the 2 guys that had gotten fired. They had rebalanced the line. They had technically made all the sense in the world. But guess what I learned on this journey? See if we got any testimonies. The technical solution, the best technical solution, isn't always the best answer. What I learned is the best solution is the one that people will support and drive and will solve the problem. The best solution is the one that you can get support for and people will drive, even if they hit a bump, they'll make it happen. So that's what I did. Instead of trying to redesign how the line was set up, I taught the hourly employees how to rearrange their work themselves. And this is how we did it. 5 o'clock each morning, I would train from 5 to 7. Assembly line started at 7. I came up with this, in Jamaica, you got limbo, limbo, limbo line, limbo, limbo, limbo. So it was a bar, right? That's how I told them. So if you got 5 minutes of work, that's like the vertical. If we're gonna speed up the line, right, you gotta have less work per station to go lower, lower, lower. So I made it like we danced under the limbo line at 5 minutes per station. And then I said, when the line goes down, can we dance under the line? That means you had to move the work around and redesign and resequence and look at all the different models and the complexities. So I gained their trust and confidence by measuring the work in a way. Our whole team was measuring and they were validating. So all of a sudden they were owning the process and I had them move the cards around me, go down and validate. And guess what? When it came time for implementation, if there was any bump, they were going to smooth the bump because they had designed the work themselves. What I did was I laid in my love of learning. I laid in my music and my movement and my dancing. 20 years later, LinkedIn, I kid you not, the chief operating officer of Harley-Davidson sent me a LinkedIn notice and said, hey, limbo line lady, limbo line lady. So I realized that the people who I was replacing knew more about motorcycles, forgotten more about motorcycles than probably I would ever know. What I knew for sure was the techniques of the engineering of the industrial. I knew how to break the complex into simple, teach it to people, and empower them to do it themselves. So what that did was, that was an exponential scaling up. Everybody talking about scaling. You must standardize before you can multiply. And that's what I found my gifting was. But the way that I did it was uniquely me. So when you see me, we're moving to the rhythm, because guess what? Life moves at a rhythm. So I taught them that the rhythm of the assembly line was a rhythm. It was a cadence. How do we get under that cadence? You know, it's called, you don't need all that. But anyway, I taught them how to use the Toyota production system. And many of those people became supervisors, and they got to grow in their capabilities. So I didn't just fix the problem one day of increasing the line. I increased the capability, because I learned getting in between people's ears, there was no limit. That's how I played to my unique strengths. Let me know if that connected for you. Let me know if you've approached something in a little different way, or you've been wanting to approach something a little different way. Maybe you just didn't have the confidence to do it. That's my story. We had 5 years to double, and we did it in 3 years to double production. It was the fastest turnover. Again, you had people who were bought in because it was their solution. So for me, the result sits here. I feel there's a door here, there's a door here, there's a door here. Why do we keep going through other people's door and having a grind and hard life to get it done? Find your door, open it, and go in. Go in with confidence, go in with power. So you might see some replacements here. I tell you what, we went through something to get to this program today. So identifying your top 5 character strengths. That's what I want to do with you. Come and work with me. We can go places. So building your career with the strengths, identifying the top 5. So many people are in a place of miswanting. They're looking for money, they're looking for the material, they're looking for what other people are describing. But then their lives are not happier because they found. And I'm sure you've seen this before, but I just love it because the visual is so clear. We have this career ladder. We've been climbing. We get to the top and we're like, oh no, wrong building. This isn't where I want it to be. So that miswanting is having so many people say, I've done all the checklists. I've gone through that linear life, but my heart isn't singing. Come work with me on your character strengths and you'll be able to sing. You'll be able to do all those things that your heart has been hungering for. So we have a couple short courses that I'll be offering for the participants. And we've got some links here that I hope my team is sharing. But the Mojo Flow Accelerator short courses, those are like a 3-week course that get you up the vertical of your productivity and of your strength and across the productivity course. You will be having one course I'll be leading and one I'll be supporting in terms of getting your strengths. We'll be working through your 6 intellectual capabilities I call your superpowers, and you'll be going from your strength and turning it into power that brings difference. Anybody interested in that? Anybody interested in the strength course? Anybody interested in becoming more productive across? Is there anybody who has been, the opposite of the full master? You're a fish, you're floundering. Yes, you've gone to great levels, but you know that you need to get other types of tools to climb right now. And maybe you need to climb across and not up. You need to maybe spiral a little bit and do it your way. And that you really need to build your self-awareness. And a lot of people are dealing with a lack of confidence. A lot of people are dealing with a lack of discipline because they still that tension of trying to be like other people. This accelerated course just gets you up the curve, the productivity and the strength course. So the productivity is a little shorter, and that was 48,000, but we follow you for 30 days after it to ensure that we get some habits in place. And with the strength programs, we will be walking through, you'll have a one-on-one coaching opportunity with me. Anybody's interested, please, there's a link there. I believe there's a link. Do we have any links? All right, Ajibola is giving you some links. All right, so I think, let's see if this is one. So there's a registration form. If you are interested in the there's a mojo meter. So you've got your score now, but the mojo meter will tell you which quadrant do you come in, and it gives you an idea of the things that you need to do to be able to shift and get to Flow Master. You can also get access, I think, to the video. Let's see what my team has put here. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so the strength course, I'm sorry, one individual coaching session and rewirement focus habits over a 3-week period. So we'll have a 4-hour on in the week of February 15th, a 2-hour, and then the 1-hour coaching. So that's a $50,000 investment. And then we have a post-class 30-day accountability period, but you also have actual where we're taking you through your habits and practices. You know, what's that focus and purpose? So come in with that and we'll look at how to break it down. Remember, the complex, sometimes that complexity can chase us away, right? We're feeling like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. But what is the elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. Not that anybody wants to eat an elephant. That's how you conquer it. So we show you how to break that down. And my one of my partners, Lola McKinday, will be working on it, which is the best one to start with. I will get you to start with the strength course. Start with the strength course. It's gonna introduce you to yourself, and you're gonna like what you see. Yes. Now, what else do we have? So that tells you a little bit about. I think if you click this registration, you'll be able to get access to more.
Patrenia, you can send them to me and I'll forward them to the group. Just send me all of the details. I'll forward it to the WhatsApp group. So
okay, awesome. So here, please follow me on Patrenia's Big Set. Just encourage me. On the journey. I'm a grandmama on the journey. Sorry.
Yes.
On here, but it's Patrenia. I always say, Pat, your knee, I'm as tall as a tree. Patrenia. Did anybody get anything out of this that they can use? Any news you can use, anything you can apply in your life? Let me know.